Yes. Hare Krishna, everyone, and welcome to our weekly sessions on Bhagavad Gita, online sessions, which we started quite some time back, and we have made a lot of progress during the time. So the topic for today's discussion is Krishna's relationship with material world, and so Krishna, as he will demonstrate in the coming session, the verses that we will review today, he will demonstrate how he is the lord of this material world, and that's the topic for today. We'll start with discussing few verses, and then we will jump into the philosophy or the practical application part of those verses and for us. So we'll start with this verse, which is we are looking at verses from ninth chapter now. So we discussed 9.3 in our previous session. We'll discussing 9.4 and onwards. So we'll chant some verses, and then we'll look at the immediate purport that Prabhupada has given, what it means, what they mean, and then we will go to the topic for today. So so I'll just chant a verse. You can, and then I'll go to the meaning, and then we'll proceed. So verse 9th, 9 chapter 4th verse, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshva avasthitaha. By me, the translation says that by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So in this section, Krishna has started explaining his inconceivable relationship that he enjoy with the material world. So there are three important three important topics that are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. They are Jiv, Jagat, and Jagadish. Jiv, Jagat, Jagadish, and so these three important topic are supplemented by two subtopics or two other topics, that is karma and kal. So these five together form the principal subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, the heart of Bhagavad Gita. So the first three, out of those three, the two are conscious. The Jeev is conscious, and Bhagavan is conscious. The Jagadish is conscious. The matter, the Jagat, is the platform in which Jeev operates, at which the Jeev operate, and we'll look at that, why it is created, how it is created, and what is expected, how it is expected to be utilized by the Jivas. So that aspect is what we're going to study. While so we'll look at the purport. So this is an important verse where Krishna starts speaking about his relationship with the material world, and so Krishna has said that matsthani sarva bhutani, everybody is in me. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Na cha aham teshva avasthita. I am not in them. So they are in me, I am not in them. What does it mean? Let's study. Let's look at this. Krishna can be understood only when he reveals himself. So this is Lord Sri Krishna. So we're reading from the purport given by Srila Prabhupada, that Lord Sri Krishna's name, fame, pastime, etc. cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance is he revealed. So the understanding of Krishna comes by revelation, comes only through revelation. To a certain extent we can understand, we can try to understand him, but beyond that it comes only when Krishna decides to reveal himself to us. A verse is quoted from Brahma Samhita by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, that says Premanjana Chacharita Bhakti Vilochanena Ste Santah Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Translation says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is the Shama Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eyes of devotion tinged with the slave of salve of love. In the purport, Prabhupada explains further that yet one should not conclude that because he is spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. To refute such an argument, the Lord says, I am everywhere and I am everything everything is in me, but still I am aloof. So Prabhupada is explaining, or Lord Krishna is explaining that uh, everything, the whole material world is his energy. Everything that we can see has its origin from Lord Krishna. And the the material world, the bhautik jagat or the jivas, everything has their trace back to, you can trace them back to Krishna. The origin of all of this is in Krishna, and this he has explained in the 7th chapter, 4th and 5th verse. However, Prabhupada is warning that doesn't mean that everything is Krishna, everywhere is Krishna. Does it mean that Krishna has lost his personal form? Does it means that is Krishna impersonal? Does it is mean that he is a formless? Prabhupada warn against any such notion that one may develop after reading this, and says that no, he is everywhere and everything is in me, but he is aloof as well. He explains, Prabhupada explains this further by taking an example of a king. And very nicely he says that a whole kingdom uh, in which king is running his government is a manifestation of king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but energies of the king. So if the king will have army, the military department, the finance department, the administration department, and the and the civil services department, and the law department, everything, all those departments are working are nothing but king's separated energy, are working directly under king. So in one sense, they are all drawing their powers from the king and none of them can function independently without king. And which means that each such department is resting on the king's power. But still one cannot expect king to be present in every department personally. Why? Because he is still separate. He's created this whole thing, but he is separate. He is separate with his own intimate associates, with his own family, and he's available when it is needed for the others also. But doesn't mean that king has lost his form. Everything is run by king's, everything is operated by king's energy. Doesn't mean king has lost his form. So this is a crude example, Prabhupada says. Next verse, Krishna further explains that he has explained that everything is in me, but I am aloof. Now he explains that point further, saying that Nachamasthani bhutani pashyame yogam aishwaryam bhuta bhrunna cha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. So he's contradicting, kind of contradicted himself. In the previous verse, he says that Matsthani sarva bhutani, and now he's starting this verse by saying Nachamasthani bhutani. So there's a direct contradiction. Why? Because he does not want anybody to be led to a conclusion that uh, Krishna is uh, Krishna is doing a lot of work, which means he must be burdened. He must be burdened, and maybe he is he's burdened. He's lost his personal form, or he does not have a personal form. What it how can one understand it? And that's why Krishna immediately contradict himself from the 4th verse to 5th verse and says that, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. And that contradiction he call it as yogam aishwaryam. This is my opulence. So the Krishna, when we contradict, we apologize. But when Krishna contradict, that becomes also his opulence, and he he himself is describing it beautifully, that behold my mystic opulence. Pashya is behold, see my mystic opulence, my yogam aishwaryam. And although I'm the maintainer of all living entities, and although I'm everywhere, I'm not part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Again, it's very beautifully explained by Krishna. In the purport, Prabhupada speak about the the Atlas, who is holding Earth planet. There is a Greek or Roman tradition. There is a demigod who's supposed to be holding this planet of Earth on his shoulder, and he looks very tired. He looks very irritated, or very tired by doing this activity. But Krishna says nobody should understand that I'm just because I said that everything I have created and I am maintaining and I am sustaining doesn't mean that I get caught up in all these things, doing all these things. I am aloof. I am completely out of this. I've created this, but I am now out of this. And then he explains this point further in the purport. Prabhupada explains this, that the Lord says that everything is resting on him. Matsthani sarva bhutani. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and subsistence of the material manifestation. So this is where Prabhupada use the analogy, use the example of this Atlas holding globe on his shoulder, and he seems very tired holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. But when then how does Krishna act? When Krishna is aloof, he's created this whole universe. He's set up the whole system. He's created all the living entities. He's created the bhautik jagat, the material world. But he says, I am aloof. I am out of it. Then how does things happen? The Krishna's Prabhupada explains this point further, that when Krishna wants to do something, simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. So this is the achintya part of it, inconceivable part of it. The Lord explains this fact. Although he is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire material manifestation, he does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. This is explained here as a yogam aishwaryam, the mystic power of the supreme personality of Godhead. So lot of things are happening, and Krishna says it's all happening by simply his willing, by simply his expressing a will, a desire to do this. So Krishna's desire and Krishna's actions are not different. He simply has to desire something, and it's executed by his energies. And Maya Devi, we see the picture of Maya Devi, who acts as Durga for this material world, or the jailer for this material world. She's the one who execute most of those orders. She, along with Lord Shiva. Krishna further goes on to explain that what is the role that living entities need to can play, and then he explains it with the help of an example, that how air has freedom to move. A mighty wind has a freedom, lot of freedom to move around, go up and down, left, right, north, east, south, west. But it cannot go beyond the boundaries that are given by the sky, the boundaries which are created by sky. A living uh, a wind cannot go out of those boundaries. Now those boundaries, who created those boundaries? Those boundaries are created by Krishna. And the wind, howsoever it is powerful, it cannot cross those boundaries. We can see this from an example, that the upside down bowl is like a dome shaped area. Now the wind inside the sky is like this, and the wind inside, there is air inside which can move in all directions practically. However, it has a limitation, it cannot escape this bowl, the area of this bowl, the radius of this bowl. Another example can be a horse which is tied to a pole. The horse has the freedom to move as long as he remains within the radius which is determined by the pole. But he has, to a limited extent, he has full freedom. He can jump and pan down, he can sit down, he can stand, he can run, he can go left, go right, and do all of those things until he hits the radius, until he stretches his radius. And so similarly, living entities have all the living entities have limited freedom to move in all directions, upwards and downward directions, within the area of this cosmic manifestation. The bowl is our cosmic manifestation, our brahmanda, to which we belong to. And those boundaries are determined. Krishna says that he's the one who has created those boundaries, but within a limited framework we have unlimited freedom. That's what he is explained. Further, he goes on to explain another two beautiful verses. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpado visrujamyaham prakritim swama vishtavya swama vastabhya visrujami punha punha bhuta grama mimam krishnam avasham prakrute vashat. Another two beautiful set of verses which we'll look at together. So first was Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamekam. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Prakritim Swama Swamavashtabhya Prisrujami Punha Punha Bhuta Grama Mimam Kritsnam Avasham Prakrute Vasha. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So this is there are two important verses. There are two. Let's understand this a little bit more. So this, what Krishna is speaking in these two verses, and what is our understanding of the origin. So Krishna is speaking about the origin of the universe and how the universe is created. Krishna says that the material manifestation or the material world at the end of the millennium enters into his nature, enters into his body, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency I create them again. So he's claiming that he is the one who has created this material world, the world that we all live in, which are, India happens to be one of the country on this planet Earth. This planet has few other planets, the moon and the sun, who are giving light and energy, and there are other planets that we so far have been able to discover, which we have named, and there is a whole planetary system which we can draw and which is typically seen in the school geography books. Now this Krishna claims that this whole manifestation, whatever we understand, which includes the Milky Way, which includes everything, whatever we have so far discovered, we are only discovering. We have not, nobody claims to have created anything, but we are only discovering what Krishna has already created. But whatever those creations are, Krishna says that he is the one who has created them. And not only he's created, he says they are helplessly created and they are helplessly annihilated at the end. And the end and the beginning is what he decides, because by it's all happening by his will, by his potency, and he says, I will create them again. I will create them again. And so it's a there's a helplessness that is there on the part of the living entities. So let's discuss. Now this is a model of creation that Krishna has presented. That he says, I am the one who creates everything, and I am the one who maintains everything. I am the one who sustains everything, and I'm the one who will destroy everything at the end. What is contradictory to this? What is our understanding of creation? What is being taught in the schools? Anybody would like to share? what is our understanding how this world has been created, how this how the human race has evolved.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Dandatranam.
Actually, Prabhuji, to the academic understanding, that is nonsense theory of the Darwin evolution theory, where he writes many times that I speculate that this might have happened, and conclusively or on the crux, we are told that human evolution has happened as per Darwin's theory, whereas that has been refuted many times by Srila Prabhupada, and even to the scientific understanding also, that cannot be perceived like the human evolution cannot be in that way, means as he is telling in his stories, because
Okay.
there are so many speculation of him only, so he couldn't evidentially just establish that the evolution of life was as per his theory.
Okay.
So that is the understanding in the material world. Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Prabhuji.
Bhushan Prabhu has mentioned that it's a Big Bang theory, and so that's true. Big Bang theory is what Darwin proposed, and that's been widely accepted by everyone. That's been taught in schools, and here Krishna gives very direct explanation of this creation, and another evolution. Krishna's Darwin says that anybody wants to remember what he has said, or anybody wants to say, anyone else, how human beings have been evaluation, how what is the process of
Okay.
evaluation that has happened.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, it was so his theory was that from single and single cell animals, the evolution has been upward, and the dual cell animal has come, and the similarly the reptiles and the again the monkeys came, and from monkeys the human has evolved. So it was a total chain for as per him, as per
Okay.
Darwin. But
Okay.
if we see the scripture, that is that look foolish actually, because there has been the existence of each and every species at all times, as we can see from the Ramchandra's pastime, Lord Ramchandra's pastime, that every species was there in his time, and there
Okay.
were not only monkeys, and we were waiting for our evolution.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, others, anybody wants to remember anything, want to share anything about these two topics, the creation and the evolution, or we'll move further. Okay, let's move forward, and let's see what Krishna is going to say this. So, yeah, what has been proposed to us so far, what has been taught, is the theory of evolution and the theory of the Big Bang theory, as Bhushan Prabhu also mentioned, and Vikas Prabhu elaborately on this. And in a sense, this theory says that nothing existed before nothing, nothing exploded because of nothing, and nothing gave rise. This nothing, whatever it was so powerful, was so potent, that nothing gave rise to everything. um, but we know from our practical experience that no bank can create design and order and the system and artistic beauty that exists in this world, uh, which human mind can easily understand, apprehend, and recreate. So no bank can create that kind of a thing. No bank can create. So human body itself is such a perfect example of a perfect machinery. So many bodily functions are so perfectly designed or so well crafted. So it's a designing marvel, our own human body, the way the whole process of digestion work, the whole process by way of which our thought originates in the mind, which becomes word and ultimately comes out of our mouth. This whole process is all subtle. We just do it. We don't realize it how it happens. We can't see this. We can't observe it. And so that's all subtle. It's all done in such a beautiful way. And uh, thinking that all this was originated out of a bang is a big leap of faith, which is not really necessary. survival of the fittest is that has caused the evolution. That's in summary can be said, that the fittest species could survive, the others just went by, others were got destroyed. So that's the theory, and here Krishna is going to give direct explanation for, he's going to claim a lot of things, he's going to give very direct explanation, direct statements, which will reveal that the creation was done by him, and we'll understand from the purports that how it was done. So at the creation, the material energy is let loose at as the Mahatattva, into which the Lord, as his first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, enters. um, so this is the process of creation starts, and it starts with Krishna's expansion. Even here, Krishna is not directly involved. Krishna expands as Balram, then Chaturvyuha, then next Chaturvyuha, and then the Mahavishnu appears, and Mahavishnu appears, and he starts. So Mahavishnu it's himself is is has is down in the hierarchy. He is a Vishnu Tattva, he is a Vishnu Tattva, but he is still far, far away from Krishna, and he starts the whole process. So he is so potent. Imagine how much Krishna is potent. So with his potency, he enters into the Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu enters this Mahatattva. He lies in he lies within the casual ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. And into each universe, the Lord again enter as a Garbho Dakashai Vishnu. Each eggs, they are all in the size that of a size of an egg, and hence the it looks like a womb, and then Garbhodakshai Vishnu enters in each of those universes. That way, that what created. Further, so there is a Mahavishnu which is lying in the casual ocean, and he breathes out from each pore of his body comes out a universe, and such multiple universes, millions of universes comes out of his body when he breathes out. And that time he expands further and enters into each of those universes as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. This is next expansion of Vishnu. So now we have Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and from his navel the stem develops, on the same Brahmaji appears. So Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Lakshmi will have Brahmaji manifest there, and then he will help Bhagavan in completing the creation. And then he still he still further manifests himself as a Kshirodakshai Vishnu. When the jivas are created, he has to enter into each and every jiva as a super soul, and for that this is becomes the next expansion of Vishnu, that's Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And that Vishnu enters into everything, even into the minute atom. And this fact is explained here. He enters into everything. Vishnu is the what who is situated in an anu. Anu is a atom. Who is also situated in an anu is called Vishnu. So that's the by definition of a Vishnu. And each egg, each universe looks like this. Has his own Durga, has his own Shiva Tattva, then and the 14 planetary systems, and then there is a Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and at the bottom of everyone, and then the Kshirodakshai Vishnu enters into each and every cell, each and every planet. The process of evolution will be explained in next slide. So this is how what Krishna says basically is that everything gets created simultaneously. Again, Darwin's speculations are completely refuted, and Krishna gives uh, his information, his explanation that he has created everything, and he gives a reason for that as well. That Krishna is responsible for creation, maintenance, and destruction. Now, in the purport Prabhupada gives, now as far as the living entities are concerned, they are impregnated into this material nature, and as a result of their past deeds, they take different positions. Thus, the activities of this material world begin. The activities of different species of living being living beings are begun from the very moment of the creation. It is not that all is evolved. Prabhupada is clearly refuting what Darwin has claimed, that everything got evolved. The different species of life are created immediately along with the universe. Men, animal, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created, because whatever desires the living entities had at the time the last annihilation are again manifested. So had that previous yuga, previous millennium continued, all of these creation would have continued and would have all got the respective births that they were given, they were supposed to be given to, and the same desires. So they start where they left off in the previous, at the time of previous annihilation, and that's how everything has to be created at once, because everything was existent at that time. And it just that Vishnu, Krishna decide to give it a break to our process and recreate the whole process, and that's what he do. So it is clearly indicated here by the word avasham. Avasham is helplessness, that the living entities have nothing to do with this process, or no living entity can claim that he got a birth by his own will or by his choice. They are avasha. Avasha is helpless, so they are helplessly annihilated, they are helplessly created, and they are maintained, though they sometimes may think that they are maintaining themselves, but they are maintained by the Lord. The state of being in their past life, in the past creation, is simply manifested again, and all this is done simply by his will. This is inconceivable potency of the supreme personality of God. The inconceivable word is achintya, is translated as achintya in Hindi or in the Sanskrit. Now, this achintya is something, by definition, achintya is not illogical. Not that anything which cannot be explained uh, logically, you call it achintya. Achintya simply indicates that Krishna's position is above our intelligence, because we are born with our intelligence into this material world. With using our intelligence, we may try and understand make the sense out of the world which is around us. But Krishna does not belong to this world, and neither Krishna is available for us to for analysis in this world. Hence, we cannot understand Krishna. Krishna can only be understood when he decide to reveal himself to us. Now, that is his inconceivable potency. So it doesn't mean that we trying stop in our efforts to understand Krishna, because he gives lot of information in form of scriptures, in form of his description of his pastimes, to may help us understand Krishna, uh, and then develop a desire to go to him, get out of this material world and go towards him, that desire. So he has given us sufficient means by which we can understand Krishna and develop a desire to go to him. However, nobody can fully understand Krishna, because if he were to be understood by our intelligence, then our intelligence would have become superior to Krishna. We cannot understand Krishna. We have to stand under Krishna, stand under his protection, stand under his mercy. We have to seek his mercy. That's how that's how we must understand the word inconceivable. Inconceivable doesn't mean that whatever you cannot explain to anybody, you call it inconceivable, achintya. ऐसा ही होता है. ऐसा नहीं होता है, because we will certain, this is by definition Krishna is God. This is why by definition why Krishna has is omnipotent. This is by definition why Krishna is omnipresent, why he is omniscient. He knows everything, he's present everywhere, and he can do anything. And when we say he can do anything, he can actually do anything. And not all of those things that he do can be understood by our limited intelligence. And that's the word inconceivable or achintya means. We'll not go into the Achintya Bhedabhed. That's a different topic. But the word Achintya comes here, so we thought we can elaborate a little bit more on that. We'll move further in our purport. And after creating different species of life, he has no connection with them. He doesn't get attached to his creation. So if I create something, if I created my family, if I have my family, I've taken my home, I'm attached to everything. I'm attached to all these things. Uh, After having created it, I wish to enjoy it. I have a desire to enjoy it. After having, created a property by putting in a lot of hard work over years, with my family, with my help of my friends, now I wish to enjoy it. I have a desire to enjoy it. But Krishna, after completing this creation, he is not attached with it. He just leaves it under the supervision of Durga Devi, and he continues to be himself. He continues to be himself with his own intimate associates. He does not interfere in this world. So he's attached, and he used the word udasina vadasina in the coming verses. But the creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations of the various living entities, and so the Lord does not become involved with it. Again, important point. We discussed many times that why at all the creation had to be done, why at all he had to create this material world. Here, Prabhupada gives a very direct response to this question. The creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations of various living entities. As a child, my child may want to have her own separate home, and for to accommodate her desire, I may purchase her some toys which will using which she can recreate kitchen in the corner of her room, where she will become mother and she will play, she will cook. But this the play kitchen is ineffective in fulfilling her hunger. When she becomes hungry, she has to come back to her mother and ask for food. That way, but to fulfill her desire, to fulfill, accommodate her inclination, we sometimes do that. We sometimes give her that facility to try and live separately in your own kitchen, in your own home. Then however, so the creation happens to accommodate our own inclination, the inclination of different living entities. And so Lord does not, so after giving this facility, Lord withdraw himself. He doesn't get involved with it. And that's his opulence again. Yeah. Another two set of verses, and these are the last set of verses, and then we will see a little bit further. न चामां तानि कर्माणि निबन्धन्ति जन धनञ्जय, निबन्धन्ति धनञ्जय, उदासीन वदासीनम् असक्तुं तेषु कर्मसु, मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृति सूयते सचराचरम्, हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते। न च माम तानि कर्माणि निबंधन्ति धनंजय, निबंधन्ति, that bound, it doesn't get bound. Oh Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. Udasina vadasina asaktam, all these things, udasina vadasina asaktam. Asakta is attached, and asakta is detached. That I'm not attached. So he's using this and re-emphasizing teshu karmasu, that these material activities seated as though neutral. So the neutrality, he's bringing it forward and explaining. And with mom, we understand it is he's talking about all himself. The work cannot bind me, and I'm ever detached, as if I'm neutral. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sa charachara, the material world. So the in the eighth verse, Krishna says prakritim vashat. uh, So eighth word, the last word is prakrute vashat. And then Krishna says this prakrute vashat, and this prakriti is under my vasha. Krishna says that this whole Prakriti is under my Vasha. I am the Lord of this Prakriti. So this is what he says that Maya Adhyakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharachara. So the Prakriti is doing whatever it is doing, she is doing under my supervision, under my guidance, under my Adhyakshata. Adhyakshata is so this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings under its rule. This manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Again, Krishna will elaborate on this point. Well, let's look at the purport. So Krishna is saying that he is always involved in his eternal blissful spiritual activities, but he has nothing to do with these material activities. Material activities are being carried on by his different potencies. The Lord is always neutral in the material activities of the created world. The example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth. But still, he is neutral. He has nothing to do with all that gain and loss. The living entities take their different forms in the various species of life according to their past deeds, and the Lord doesn't interfere with them. 9.10 purport, Krishna says again that he's the is the supreme will and the supreme and the background of this material manifestation, but the management is being conducted by the material nature. Krishna also states that in the Bhagavad Gita that all living entities in different form species, I am the father, and the father gives seeds to the womb of a mother, and similarly Supreme Lord by his mere glance inject all living entities into the womb of material nature, and then they come out of in their different forms and species according to their past last desires and activities. So in these two slides, um, Krishna says that he is not responsible. In brief, if we have to say, for example, he's not responsible for the problems that are occurring in the material world. He is not responsible for the suffering that everyone is experiencing in the material world. He has created a system, but he is neutral to it. If somebody goes to jail, it is not that he desires him to go to jail. If somebody gets awarded with some wealth, it is not that he has anything to do with that person or he is his favorite person. His interference in the normal course of activities is next to nothing. He doesn't interfere. That's what he's claiming. Uh, at this stage, let's look at what we have. Yeah, we'll just elaborate on this point further and then we'll look at an example. Uh, we'll look at one verse from Ishopanishad, the invocation mantra. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasya Purna Adaya Purnamiva Vashishyate. So Purna is complete, perfect and complete. The world that Krishna is created, Krishna says that Supreme Person, the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, everything that comes out of him is also completely perfect, complete and perfect, both. And the world manifests out of Krishna. So world also is complete and it is perfect. So um, see with an example that infinity minus infinity, that uh, he remains complete. He remains complete because he doesn't become less just because this world has come out of him and millions of universes have come out of him. He is infinity. Whatever infinity comes out of it, he still remains infinity. So his potency does not get reduced by any way. The perfect and complete world is what we've spoken, and this is a beautiful example of that. The world, as we know, the water cycle operate perfectly. There is a sun who helps with evaporation, condensation. The clouds get created, clouds get transported, uh, beautiful technology. No, none of us, none of the modern scientists have so far been able to replicate moving mobile water tanks, which has ability to, which has an aircraft, which through which an aircraft can go without any leak, causing any leakage. It leaks only when it has to, and it can get transported over thousands of miles without anybody paying anything. No taxes, no petrol charges, nothing. Everything is moving so perfectly, so beautifully, and we just get rain. Sometimes we get less rain, more rain, but precisely the way the rains occur is such a beautiful. It is such a beautiful technology, beautiful system that support this. Plus, if this is not enough, the oceans have salt which preserves act as a preservator, and the mountains have ice which also preserves water so that it can be supplied throughout the year and throughout other regions where the rainfalls are less. uh, Underwater, percolation, surface flow, there's a water which goes under surface, which groundwater also eventually flow towards ocean, the river through rivers and through other means, and then again the whole cycle continues. Nobody, there is no switch that anybody go and operate using through which the sun rises, or the winds get generated, or the clouds get formed, or the clouds even get transported, or even the rains happen. Even if a cloud is there in front of our head, if it is not to rain, it will not rain, it will just go to another city and rain. um, so this is a beautiful system which apparently has, as per our textbook, has seems to have come out of a big bang. Another perfect example of a system is oxygen cycle, that animals and plants, or living entities and plants, there is a perfect system through which they give oxygen and take carbon dioxide, and we give carbon dioxide and then take oxygen that is given by the plants. And through which, unless we mess things up, we cut down all the jungles, we disturb the balance of this ecology, we have sufficient oxygen for all of us. And again, none of us can claim to have created this system, but we also see problems. The problems, sometimes there are too much rains which causes flood, and sometimes there are no rains, where we see people suffering. So let's discuss that, why, who is responsible for this suffering. Let's discuss who, um, if we were to suffer, whom should we blame? Let's look at it from an with an example. We are all sitting in our homes right now, and hopefully comfortably with AC on, fans on, lights on. Or we would have had something nicely in the morning. Now, suddenly, electricity goes off. Suddenly, the electricity goes. Let's take this scenario and expand. Now, electricity going off will cause suffering. Our laptops may go off, mobiles may not get charged, that can cause anxiety. Lights go off, AC go off, fan go off, that will cause anxiety, that will cause some suffering. Let's take at a simplistic level, uh, who is responsible for this suffering? How can we expand this situation? If we have to look for a cause for the suffering, what could that be?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Vikas. Yeah, please feel free
Yes,
to
Prabhuji.
put it into the chat box if you don't wish to speak, but feel free to speak also. I'm happy to hear everyone speak. Yes, Vikas Prabhu, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. So what I feel is there was a discussion means recently in the society only means with our colleagues that do you feel that we are there is a evolution of life or there is a degradation of life? So actually, the science is meant for evolution of life, but eventually, what is happening is we are taking such a course that which is eventually making it a curse, or means the science is not able to no more remaining
No,
a
no,
boon
which is
kind of
fine.
thing, because
We are not
we are
discussing. We are discussing a simple situation that light
yeah,
has
yeah,
gone
Prabhuji.
off. Now, how should we look at this? Who
Yeah,
has
yeah,
to be blamed?
I was just coming to that, Prabhuji. Yeah, yeah. So we have means devastated the nature to that extent by using the science, that we are ultimately creating suffering or creating trouble for us. Like if we remain in a kind of place where there is an abundance of what you call the nature, where there we don't get any kind of suffering from there being the light or not. It's like in the summer days we feel it very hot because the light or the comfort of AC or something is not there with us. But simultaneously, if we are living in the vicinity of nature, uh, we are just devoid of feeling that pain. Similarly, if this light scene is there, we have made ourselves so comfortable, because even the telephone lines and everything that was working before, that was working on the batteries. Means, since if light is not there for some time, that could have worked. But we wanted such a kind of evolution that we don't want to care for nature. So that is causing the, in my opinion, that is causing main suffering to us. That we want our comfort level to the extreme extent, to at whatever cost we need to pay for that.
So you are
So
suggesting that we should tolerate, or we should go close to nature, where there will be lesser opportunities for. We should reduce our dependence on the electricity. In short, is it okay?
yes, Prabhuji, means
Okay.
to some extent, yes.
Yeah, to some extent,
There
yes.
should be a balance. Yes,
Balance.
Prabhuji.
Okay, Mukesh Babu, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। आवाज आ रही है प्रभु जी?
Yes, Prabhuji, very much.
जी प्रभु जी, जहाँ तक प्रश्न आपका है, मैं ये समझ पाया हूँ कि आपने कहा कि इस प्रकार की अगर स्थिति उत्पन्न हो जाए कि हमें सब कुछ एक कंफर्ट लेवल पे हम हैं और अचानक से किसी चीज का अभाव हो जाए, तो हम उसके पीछे का उस सफरिंग का मतलब क्या है, उस सफरिंग का कारण क्या है, हम क्या किस दृष्टिकोण से उसको समझते हैं? एम आई राइट? आप यही पूछना
Yes,
चाहते हैं?
बराबर है।
जी जी। तो इसमें प्रभु जी सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हमारी इच्छा है ना? मुझे जहां तक लगता है, हमारा मन जो इच्छा करता है कि हम एक कंफर्ट जोन में रहें, हमको एक कंफर्टेबल सतत जो है निरंतर हमको एक चीज मिलती रहे, सुविधा हमको मिलती रहे। तो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम जो है हमारी नासमझी इस बात की है कि हम हमारी जो कामना जो है, हमारी जो इच्छा है कि हम इस स्टेट में रहें, उसके साथ में हमको डील करनी है। ये सब मन और बुद्धि का जो है के परस्पर सहयोग से इस प्रकार का हम सोचते हैं। तो सफरिंग जो है हमारी कामनाओं में, हमारी इच्छाओं में ही छिपी होती है। अगर हम सही तरीके से अगर इसको हम इस साइंस को समझ जाएं, जैसे कि आप अभी बता रहे हैं, तो हम इस चीज को हम टॉलरेट कर सकते हैं।
Okay.
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा। अश्विनी प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु।
ये अभी आप ये कह रहे थे, लॉर्ड कृष्णा कहते हैं कि मतलब सफरिंग्स और बाकी और चीजों के लिए वो मतलब वो हमारे कर्म और हम का ही कार्मिक रिएक्शन है जो हमें मिलता है, या वो मतलब लॉर्ड एनीबडी मतलब वेदर अब
Prabhuji, your voice is breaking a little bit. I don't know if it is for me or for others.
For everyone, Prabhuji.
प्रभुजी नेटवर्क कनेक्टिविटी आई थिंक
ये भी cause of suffering है ना, देखो।
जी
Okay, no, understood. So basically, in short, you are saying that it's basically karma, it's karmic. कि ऐसा नहीं होता कि अचानक suffering आ जाती है. It has caused suffering. It has role of karma in it. Correct? Is that right?
जी प्रभु जी प्रभु।
Okay. Yes, Sudhir Prabhu. हाँ, Sainath Prabhu, will come to you next. Sorry, Sudhir Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, under the influence of Maya, we easily get into comfort zone, and we use technology and go to our sense gratification to the fullest extent. As soon as that connection is snapped, then we lose ourselves, lose our comfort, lose our cool, and we really the sense gratification gets hampered, and then that is what we call suffering, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Sainath Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I feel that we are we have been given the material body, and that is always entangled in the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So because of being given the material body, and this world is dukhalayam shashvatam, that is, uh, it's a dukhalaya and is temporary in nature. So always there are going to be, since the material body is there, so it's always going to be, uh, there are going to be miseries, there are going to be negativities in the life. That is what I feel.
Okay. Okay, there's nothing in the chat box. Yeah. No, I think anybody wish to say something more, or we should move on?
Yeah, Prabhuji, in my opinion,
Yes, Vinodra.
the problem we are facing here in this world is because of our focus on the sense gratification which we have, and we would like to enjoy the comfort which is given in this material world. If we put our senses for the sense gratification of the soul, then we'll be away from this kind of misery which we have.
So most of you, I think the focus was either to blame karma or to blame ourselves. Can we blame Krishna for this suffering given to us?
That is out of question, Prabhuji.
Okay, Mandar Prabhu is saying we become dependent on the comforts that we have developed, habits with which we can. Okay, the comfort, the desire to have unlimited comfort is a root cause, seems to be the root cause. So let's, I think, elaborate a little bit further on this scenario, that electricity going off in the room and we are suffering. The mobile is off, the light is off, the the PC is off, AC is off, and fan is off, and we are perspiring, sweating. The when the light, the electricity gets cut off from the in the room, the immediate, so we divide the causation in the three level. First is immediate cause, second is remote cause, and third is ultimate cause. So let's take this electricity scenario and elaborate a little bit further on that. The electricity going off could have a immediate cause, and my immediate cause could be in my own home, that somebody by mistake switch off the fuse, or mains में से किसी ने switch off कर दिया होगा. That becomes my immediate cause. So my immediate cause, I don't have to go to karma level, I don't have to go to the ultimate cause. I have to deal with my knowledge, my skills, my abilities with the immediate cause. And that is what we should be doing when we face problems in our life. The problems will be there, and then we have to deal with using our abilities, skills, and knowledge to resolve those using the by addressing the immediate cause. So if somebody by mistake has switched off the mains, we have to go and switch it on and see if the light is restored, if the power is restored. Could be, if that is not there, if that's not working, then we expand. When we say that light has not come, then we expand our vision, expand our investigation, and then see if there are lights in our buildings, if there are lights in our society, in our lights in our city, or is there a so then this is how we expand our horizon of search, that what could be the cause. So from immediate, then we move to the remote cause. That that remote cause is a karma, is a karmic reactions that we all might be facing. If the whole city has gone, if my electricity is gone because I have not paid my bill, or somebody has wrongly switched off my mains, or my fuse is gone, which I can easily replace and get my electricity back, then that is something that we need to do. That is something which is in our control. If when the remote cause in operation, when the whole city's electricity has gone, and for some reason, for some then there is not much that we can do in such things. So when there is a pandemic, what we can do at best is tolerate and mitigate to the extent we can use hand fans that we typically used to live in use in the villages, or we can open our homes to let natural wind come in and then give us little comfort. Beyond that, we have to tolerate also. So we have to mitigate and we have to tolerate to a large extent, because when remote cause is in operation, when immediate cause does not give any satisfactory answer, we go to remote cause. And so this is called escalation. जैसे बैंक में जाते हैं, क्लर्क काम नहीं करता है तो हम एस्केलेट करते हैं, वहां पे उनका जो हेड क्लर्क होता है उसको जाके वी कैन गो, and if he doesn't work we go to the manager, ultimate manager of the branch. So there is a ultimate cause also. The ultimate cause is Krishna. So the immediate cause is our own effort, our own endeavor, our own desires, our own problems. The remote cause is the karmic reactions which are forced upon us by somebody who is by somebody else. Now that somebody else we is Maya Devi, who is allocating our share of sufferings and our shares of enjoyments to us. uh, and that's happening through her system called that's how the prakriti works. And so when they come, then you still mitigate to the extent you can, but you have to tolerate also quite a lot. That's how and then there is ultimate cause. Ultimate cause is Krishna himself. Because why? Because Krishna is the one who has created this whole society. Though he has created it for our satisfaction, for our based on our inclination, based on our desire, but he's the one who's created it, and he continues to be the ultimate cause for everything. So this is a three level explanation, or for understanding if we are going through any sufferings of any kind, this is how we can also understand it. Okay, so the world offer a perfect facility for living happily and achieving liberation. The world in which there is a death, birth, old age, disease, and death, which ultimately can destroy all our plans, all our arrangements, all just disrupt everything that whatever we have created, uh, has a purpose. Everything in this world is created for a purpose. The sun is there for a purpose, moon has its purpose, wind has its purpose, uh, trees have their purpose, and the sky is their purpose, the water cycle has its purpose, and the everything is has its own purpose, and nothing is useless. Similarly, the death that we consider to be useless thing in the world, which old age and death and disease, which are progression towards our ultimate exit. The old age and disease are the progression notices that we get from जैसे कि इनकम टैक्स नोटिस आती है कि अपियर करो, हाजिर हो, कोर्ट की नोटिस आती है, उस तरह की नोटिसेस है ये. And they come and then we ignore them, we tend to overlook them and continue with our desire for enjoying this in this world, controlling in this world. And then when we actually face our ultimate death, and then that bewilders us, that rattles our plans, that disturbs our planning. Puri planning goes for a toss, we say. Why it happens? Because we have failed to take acknowledgement of the notices that were sent earlier to us through diseases, through old age. And when the death comes, we find ourselves bewildered, completely lost, and doesn't know what to do. So the death is an opportunity for liberation. The world offer us only one chance where we can exit from this world. That we can go back to the spiritual world. So death is that opportunity, and then that has to be. So the world is perfect if we choose to utilize it for the purpose for which it is created. The world is the dummy kitchen created for a child is not created with an intention to feed her. It cannot feed her, it cannot make her happy. It has to, one has to try and fulfill one's immediate desire, but ultimately should create a desire to go back, to our own parents, go back to the child should return to her mother if she wants happy, she wants to be happy, she wants to have her hunger fulfilled truly. So for that her mother is there, for that her father is there, and she must return to them, not get entangled in her play kitchen for too long. That's how that's the idea of a perfect world. The world is perfect for liberation, the world is imperfect for enjoyment, the world cannot be enjoyed. And that's the bottom line. So while acting under the influence of three modes, the living entities produce different reactions. The these are the these are the rules which governs this world, and nobody can do anything about it. And as long as we are in this world, we are forced to act. And while we act under the influence of rajo, sattva, and tamo guna. And each of those actions produce reactions which creates a fruit. And for enjoying or suffering that fruit, we must take birth again. So we need, if we need to get out of this cycle, if we need to get out of this entanglement, then we need a two-way process. We need some way to cut out our past reactions, to burn our past reactions, and we need a bridge or exit route to go to the spiritual world. And this whole thing happens under the creation, under the system created by Krishna and managed by Durga. So just like a jail is created by a king, and he's aware that people are suffering inside there, but the king is not responsible for people suffering, because king never invited them to go there. Those people have gone to jail for their own actions, as a result of their own actions, as a result of their own bad desires. And having gone there, having performed those criminal acts out of their desires, out of their lust, out of their anger, out of their greed, whatever could have caused those actions, they end up going to those jails and they are made to suffer. Jail is meant for suffering. And so the king, though he's aware, though the jail operate under him, he's not responsible, because he never invited, he doesn't fill people, because it is empty. People go to jail by their own desires. And therefore when we suffer in this world, we suffer our own reactions of our own actions which were done in past. How does a what is the alternative method of looking at this world and operating functioning in this world? A devotee or a bhakta look to utilize the world. The world that we have given birth in is same for everyone. Everyone who wish to enjoy this world, lord over the material resources.
ये उससे भी open है मतलब हाँ थोड़ा
Yeah, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, sorry. So anyone who wish to enjoy this world, who has a desire to enjoy this world, and anybody who wish to exit from this world, the world is same for both of them. The 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 reason, the very fact that we are in this world, we are under the influence of Maya, and we have certain reactions pending for us to be enjoyed or suffered, because of which we have appeared in this world. None of us can claim to have appeared for deliverance of mankind or avatar, as they as Prabhupada was. So so our role is to be focused on utilizing the world rather than enjoying the world. So the primary focus is on getting attached to Krishna. When you want to enjoy the world, your primary focus is to get attached to the world and the facilities that the world offer, the enjoyments that world offer. And then you want to protect those, and you want to enhance those, increase those. And when any one of those are taken away, we suffer. And that's what came out of few when some of you spoke. That's what actually came out, that our desire to enjoy, desire to create facilities for enjoyment, uninterruptedly in an uninterrupted manner is the root cause. But here Krishna says that 7th chapter, Maya Sakta Mana Partha, he begins 7th chapter by saying that your focus should be to get attached to me, and for that perform devotional activities to enhance love and service to me. The Navavidha Bhakti, which starts with Shravanam Kirtanam, uh, provide us that facility to increase our desire to get attached to Krishna, to increase our affection for Krishna, our love for Krishna, get knowledge about Krishna, perform activities and get realizations, and thereby progressively go closer to Krishna. They also carry out respective duties of, so the devotees not only focus, put the Krishna is in their focus, attachment to Krishna is their primary focus. However, they also carry out their varnashrama duties diligently. They are not lazy, they are not ignorant, they are not the one who throw away responsibility, who acts irresponsibly. They fulfill all their varnashram duties diligently. As a varnashrama, they could be a housewife. We've seen a great example of Alfred Ford and his wife. They are grahastha and run a Ford empire. Of in the United States. So he's a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and and his primary focus is Krishna, and serving Krishna, loving Krishna, giving building the temple of Vedic planetarium in Mayapur is the project which he's heading, and he's raising funds worldwide through through various actions, various activities, and we see the beautiful temple that's coming up is largely also because of his tireless efforts. So he's serving Krishna, he's serving Prabhupada, his guru. He's chanting 16 rounds. His wife and he participate in all devotional activities, but he's not careless. He also runs Ford Empire. He also runs his family. He also is a US citizen. So he's performing actions which are necessary for a citizen of United States. He does everything what is expected out of him, but his focus is on developing attachment to Krishna. That's how a devotee operates in this world, looking to utilize the world rather than getting entangled in the world. So we all what are they doing? What devotees further do? They use everything, all their resources, all their mind, their intelligence, their body, their skills, their abilities, knowledge, possessions. They use everything, whatever is in their control, to serve Krishna, to engage in serving Krishna in different ways. If you have a ability to speak nicely, speak about Krishna, speak to Krishna, speak about Krishna to people who want to hear about Krishna, who want to take up to the process of devotional service. So through which, so this is simple example by which we can serve Krishna. There are so many multiple opportunities available to serve Krishna, and through service our own conviction increases, our own faith deepens in the Krishna and the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Hence, even while acting in this world, a devotee doesn't get entangled or attached to this world. So his focus is on utilizing the world, not getting entangled in the world. We'll summarize and then we'll take some questions. The world offer a perfect and complete facility to live happily and achieve liberation. The live happily and achieve liberation. This is there in verse 3rd chapter 11th verse also. The translation says this. I like this term very much. Live happily and achieve liberation. Susukham kartum avyayam. That bhajatam pritipurvakam tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. And so this pritipurvakam, and then 9.2 also says that pratyaksha vagabam dharmam susukham kartum avyayam. So susukham, so the devotional world is is a happy world, is a sukhi world. There is no hankering. Even if there is hankering, there is hankering for service to Krishna. There is greed. There is greed to serve devotees more. If there is greed, greed to chant Krishna's name more. If there is greed, that can be to read Prabhupada books more. This is a very happy world, and it's a real world. It's not imaginary world. It's not just sentimental world. This is world where everybody can be part of. This Prabhupada has created this society for International Society for Krishna Consciousness, wherein people from all nationalities, all religion, all caste, all creeds, everybody can be accommodated under one roof. A Chinese can be accommodated, a Mexican can be accommodated, a Japanese Bhanu Maharaj can be accommodated, African devotees Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj can be accommodated, American devotees can be accommodated, English devotees can be accommodated, everyone can be accommodated, monkeys can be accommodated also. So everybody can be accommodated, and this is a simple formula that for available to us in today's world, to live happily and achieve liberation. Design By design, the world give us false happiness and lots of miseries. Thus, a dukhalayam ashashvatam was mamupetya na nivartante dukhalayam ashashvatam. Both are produced by activities of living entities only. No, there is a karma. Remote cause is also caused by activities. We don't remember those, but those are produced by our past activities for which the fruits are delivered to us, and hence we just have to mitigate to the extent we can and tolerate. Beyond that, we can't do anything. So this is and one who has this knowledge is not bewildered by them. Now this is also very important. When suffering comes in the life of a devotee, he understands why they are occurring. They are occurring because of his own past activities. Now it doesn't mean that he cannot do anything by it. Now he has to do what he can, but he also has to tolerate because there are certain things which are beyond his control, and then if he become resentful towards that, he will increase his problem further. So the tolerance is not a weak attribute. It's a very brave decision to it shows somebody in knowledge can become tolerant. Somebody who is does not have any knowledge will just get bewildered. He will just get confused कि ये मेरे साथ क्यों हो रहा है, कि why am I being suffering, why I'm suffering in spite of uh, I'm being so good to everyone. I'm in this life. I've been very religious person. I've been very honest person, very cooperative person, very helpful person. And in spite of that, why am I being made subject matter subjected to so much miseries? So this is what one has to learn from these verses and these purports of Srila Prabhupada. Devotees tolerate, mitigate as necessary, and cultivate constant loving remembrance of Krishna for success at the end of their life. Devotees are not afraid of dying. Why? Because they know when the death will come, which will come surely for them as much as it will come for everybody else who doesn't believe in Krishna or doesn't believe in God. But they understand that death is my opportunity to be successful at the end of my life. And how I can remember Krishna, if I can cultivate constant remembrance of Krishna throughout the life, I will remember Krishna at the end of his life, at the end of our life. And why we say so? Because Krishna has said so. Because antakale cha mamevam smaran muktva kalevaram. When you remember me at the time of death, at the time of giving up your body, you will attain my bhava, you will attain me. And of this, there is no doubt. Yati na astra, yati na tatra saushayah. Of this, there is no doubt. That's what he says. And he tells us that, yes, you cannot remember me at the time of your death unless you have remembered me throughout your life. And that is something that is spoken in 8.7th verse. And then ananya chetaha satatam yomam smarate nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha. For such a person, ananya cheta, the one who remembers me, yomam smarate nityashah, jo mera smaran karta hai nityashah, always, without deviation. For such a person, remembering me is very easy, and Krishna says, I will help such person. If whenever you, if by some reason you are not in a situation where at the time of death you're not in a situation, you're not surrounded by devotees who are trying to help you leave your body, Krishna says, I will come out of your, I will give remembrance to you, because I'm always there with you. I'm there in your heart as a super soul, and I will give you the remembrance. And hence you should not be worried, you should not have any concern. So so this is a leap of faith that a devotee also takes, that if even if he, even if for some reason if he fails to remember, Krishna will come and give him the remembrance at that time of death, by way of which he will go back to Krishna. Krishna is ever eager to take us back to him, and he will do anything. If we take one step, he will take 10 steps to help us come back to him. And that's what the purpose of narrating whole Bhagavad Gita was not just narrated to induce Arjuna to fight a war and kill those Kauravas. That just happens to be the side product, a byproduct of the whole conversation. The whole conversation was to demonstrate Krishna's love for Arjuna, and through Arjuna, Krishna's love for all living beings, and how eager he is uh, to tell us that though I have given you your choice of your own free will, I want you to exercise your free will to choose me. Don't choose anything else. And when you choose me, I am able to help you. Otherwise, in spite of being in our heart, even Krishna cannot transform our heart if we don't wish to transform. So that's the free will, that's the problem of free will that he himself has given us, and he respect that. And hence that's why he says, yatha ichha tatha kuru. As you desire, so you do. And hence we should do our part. And then we should say that, as Arjuna says in 73rd verse, that karishye vachanam tava, I will do what you are saying. And hence we should try to become nice devotee of Lord Krishna, with a goal, with a get attached to Krishna with a goal to achieve Krishna at the end of our respective life. The facility for daily cultivating remembrance of Krishna is available through chanting and hearing. Chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra happens from morning 5:15 to 7:30, and reading of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita happens from 8:30 till 9:15. uh, I'll circulate the slides for anybody who wish to join these. Join even if you are not able to fully pay attention. At times, in our homes, these are the times, especially evening times, are difficult times for a lot of people. But do join. Even if you could hear 10%, you will benefit. 20%, you will benefit more. If you could hear 100%, you will benefit the most. Narottam Prabhu, Hriday Yagya Prabhu, many other nice devotees, Amish Prabhu, they all take those sessions very nicely. Morning chanting session is the most beautiful part of our day, where we are all devotees assemble, and they chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra from 5:15 a.m. onwards. The actual session starts even before, but for those who wish to join, they can join anytime, they can leave anytime. They can complete their prescribed rounds by joining this session. This happens on Zoom. Very easy to join, just one click and you're on the call. And then we hear some nice devotees chant. Kashyap Prabhu chant nicely, Vikas Prabhu chant nicely, and they read encouraging verses from Bhagavatam, some quotes from by Srila Prabhupada from Chaitanya Charitamrita, so that we are motivated to chant. In a group, in an association, we are motivated. We feel like chanting. We should feel like chanting, and then we cultivate taste for chanting in the process. And then even if by some reason, even if this facility get discontinued, we will not discontinue chanting once we develop a taste for chanting. That's the whole objective, why we encourage everybody to come and chant with devotees, that develop a taste for chanting. Once you do that, you will chant no matter if anybody is reminding you or not. You will chant automatically. You will not miss out on that. So we'll stop there, and we'll see if anybody has any questions. we can or comments, we can discuss those.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Vinod Prabhuji, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji. It's a very, what do you call, my question looks to be very absurd, but Prabhuji, I just want to have some clarification on that. The various stages you have shown, Garvada Vishnu and Shirodasaya Vishnu, and uh, Krishna, who is the main source of all these universes, and Vishnu's in various forms. So the Krishna who appeared on in Vrindavan in on earth is the same Krishna who is the main source of universe, or is there any slightest difference between the two Krishna?
Correct. So the same Krishna appears in Vrindavan and perform all the pastimes. There is no difference in them. The Krishna, when he comes, he try to follow the rules by which this material world is governed. So this material world is characterized by birth, death, old age, and disease. So Krishna also follow some principal rules which are applicable to the world, but he is not bound to follow all the rules because he doesn't belong to here, and neither he is bound by the rules. The world cannot bind him. So he takes birth um, through his devotees, with the help of his devotees. He also leaves this world in the way that everybody is supposed to live. But during his lifetime, he also sometimes break the rules, whatever that are there. So all the material laws of, he break the law of motion, he break the law of gravity. He find the center of gravity under wherever he touch Govardhan hill. He break the rule also. So following rules doesn't make him ordinary, and breaking the rule just proves his extraordinary self. That just demonstrate that he is actually God and he can do anything. But if he wished, he can follow the rules also. Just like if when a prime minister decides to visit a jail. Now he may come to jail with a constable, but he's not jailed. He's going there some next 26th January or 15th August or some festival. He decide to go to Tihar jail. Now nobody can say no to him. As a prime minister, he can go anywhere. The jail is in India. He's prime minister for those criminals who are serving their terms in jail also. He's their prime minister also. So on holy day, on some whatever Diwali day, whatever, for to celebrate some festival, he may decide to go to Tihar jail. Nobody can stop him from going there. He may go with a constable, just like how all the criminals would have appeared there. That does not mean that he's bound. He's bound by the rules of the jail. He may participate in some activities with those kaidis, with those criminals who are living there. But that again doesn't force all the laws upon him. So if somebody says that he did something but he didn't do that other things which we are forced to do, nobody can put a finger on him because he doesn't belong to the jail. He comes to the jail by his own free will, and he will go out of jail by his own free will, and he will do whatever he wants inside the jail while he is there. He may choose to follow some rules, he may choose to not follow some rules. That's completely up to him. And because he has come, all criminals there may get a feast. Now that is also by his will. So it's up to him what he does. However, why he comes there? Because he want to encourage everybody to get reform. Everybody to get reform and get out. He doesn't want people to live there perpetually. He will encourage them. He will encourage them to do yoga, to do some to learn Bhagavad Gita. We have jail Bhagavad Gita distribution in jail is a big activity. Somebody like Amog Lila Prabhu will go to jail and teach also Bhagavad Gita. He can, he can do something like that also. And we have many things, many of those things happening, many of those kind of projects also happening, because ultimately objective is for everybody to become free. So Prime Minister may do that also, but he doesn't get bound by the rules of the jail, and the jailer still remains subordinate to him, and he remains superior to the jailer, and the jail functions as his as per his wish. But the sufferings that that is experienced by the criminal is not as what he desired. It is not because he has a grudge against somebody, he is causing suffering to somebody. Those sufferings are caused by their own past karmas and present activities. So that's how the simple that's how I can explain that the Krishna is same. The Prime Minister outside the jail and the day he visit Tihar jail is the same Prime Minister. He doesn't change.
So, Prabhuji, the Krishna, which we are talking about, the supreme power, who is the creator and originator of the universe, all the universes, in fact. So, like the name given by her mother or father as a Krishna, is that a Krishna that like if some other name was given to that Krishna, then that personality will remain same. That name Krishna, as we are talking about, is having the continuity from the originator to the Krishna who appeared in India. In India, how is that?
So the father and mother are also his eternal associates. They all came from spiritual world. So when Krishna wants to appear, he will not he will appear only with his intimate associates, and hence the father and mother as a in a leela, those things can be easily orchestrated by Yogamaya. That Krishna can always be given name Krishna. Krishna means all attractive, and he was all attractive. He was attracting attention not only of humans, not only of gopis, not only of gopas, not only of his parents, but also of every bird, every animal who was living in Vrindavan that time. He would go close to a flower tree, and out of nowhere the flowers will start giving flowers out of season. They will go close to a mango tree, and mango tree would start giving mango out of season, even if there is no season. So Krishna was all attractive for everyone. So Krishna, if it is his eternal name, he will be given that name, and that can easily be orchestrated by his Yoga Maya. Because Yoga Maya, who is in charge of creating a pastime, she acts like a director of the pastime, and she is the one who can easily inspire Garga Muni when he visits Krishna to give that name as Krishna, or to Mother Yashoda to give this name as Krishna. That's very easily doable, but these are always his associates. They never leave him. So they may not, they will be covered by Yogamaya in this particular pastime, but eternally they are Lord's associates, and they know Krishna as Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Yes, Mukesh.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी, मेरा प्रश्न क्रिएशन से रिलेटेड ही है। जब महाविष्णु जब अपना दृष्टिपात करते हैं रमा देवी की छाया स्वरूपा माया देवी के ऊपर में अपनी काल शक्ति यानी शंभु के द्वारा, तो उनके संसर्ग से महत्त्व उत्पन्न होता है, और ये सृष्टि जो है भौतिक सृष्टि का अनफोल्ड होता है, और उससे 24 एलिमेंट निकलते हैं महत्त्व के द्वारा। उसमें प्रभु जी 24 एलिमेंट्स में जो पंच महाभूत होते हैं, 5 ज्ञानेंद्रियां होती हैं, 5 कर्मेंद्रियां होती हैं, 5 इंद्रिय विषय होते हैं, मन बुद्धि अहंकार होता है, ये 23 हो गए। चौथा होता है प्रधान, जो कि अव्यक्त अवस्था होती है प्रकृति के गुणों की। तो प्रभु जी, ये प्रधान तत्व जो है यह समझ में नहीं आता कि ये प्रकृति के गुण की अव्यक्त अवस्था वास्तव में है क्या, और महत्व से ये अलग, मतलब किस प्रकार से इसको हम ये कर सकते हैं?
ये महातत्व, प्रधान एंड मटेरियल नेचर, मटेरियल वर्ल्ड, ये 3 स्टेजेस है। इसका ना प्रभु जी बाइफर्केशन है तीनों का, तीनों 3 स्टेजेस में है। एंड आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिमेम्बर द all the distinguishing factors, तो किन चीजों से ये अलग होता है, but ये progression है. I think it's महातत्व becomes प्रधान, प्रधान becomes प्रकृति. इस तरह से कुछ प्रोग्रेशन होता है, but I can find out and I can let you know.
ओके प्रभु जी, एक्चुअल में ये प्रश्न प्रभु जी ये मैंने मतलब भगवत गीता के 13वें चैप्टर के 6ठे और 7वें श्लोक में है. प्रभुपाद जी मतलब है ना तात्पर्य में एक्सप्लेन भी करते हैं इस चीज को, लेकिन प्रधान तत्व का जो है मुझे समझ में नहीं आया, तो प्लीज आप बाद में बता दीजिएगा, मतलब थोड़ा सा
श्योर प्रभु जी,
है ना.
मैंने लिख लिया था. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
ये देयर इज अ प्रोग्रेशन एंड उसमें इवोल्यूशन है. एंड महातत्व में एक स्टेज, देयर आर डिफरेंट स्टेजेस ऑफ इवोल्यूशन व्हेन progression is happening, but I'm not able to remember exact distinction between those three, but these are three. And जो प्रकृति बोलते हैं हम जिसको, वो I think the last stage है जिसमें जीव आते हैं, and what we experience is प्रकृति, और जिसे हम material world, भौतिक जगत कहते हैं. So
प्रभु जी, एज पर माई अंडरस्टैंडिंग, मतलब थोड़ा सा मैं इसमें एक चीज ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि जैसे महत्त्व का जब अहंकार से जब संसर्ग होता है, सतोगुणी अहंकार के साथ संसर्ग होता है तो मन का प्रादुर्भाव होता है. इस प्रकार से रजगुणी अहंकार से संसर्ग होता है, कर्मेंद्रियां बनती है, और तमोगुणी अहंकार से संसर्ग होता है तो पंच महाभूत बनते हैं. ये अनफोल्ड होता है, महत्त्व पूरा अनफोल्ड हो जाता है, और अव्यक्त जो होता है वो व्यक्त हो जाता है, और प्रधान जो है वो उसमें तीन ऐसे क्या अव्यक्त गुण हैं, ये वो समझ में नहीं आता कि ये तीन तरह की अव्यक्त अवस्था क्या है प्रधान में. एक्चुअल में मुझे वो समझ में नहीं आता है, मतलब
काफी टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन है, so let me just come back to you.
ओके प्रभु जी. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. Internalize and remember. Dwarkanath Prabhuji, thank you so much for learning and listening patiently. Yes, this is the creation is a slightly complex topic that we have, but we so what we can look at is through an example of our that we expanded, or the electricity example. We replace electricity with our sufferings, by any sufferings, and then we can understand that so the whole point that Krishna is making here is he's saying that he's out of this world. He is not to be blamed for people's sufferings. He is not to be blamed. He's created everything, but he's not responsible for what's been going on inside the world. This is a simpler point, and we draw home this point through our discussion in the case study for the electricity. And electricity, you can replace electricity with any other suffering, financial loss, or health issues, or our near one leaving their body, or any other thing, health issues, or permanent health issues, or job loss, or not having a child, whatever problems today people are grappling, all those problems could have their origin in this causation. So this is where this kind of a thing help us. Okay, yeah. Chandramohan Prabhu, you wish to ask question?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
Hare Krishna Prabhu ji.
प्रभु जी, मेरा ये सवाल है, जो पहुंचे हुए भक्त हैं, जो काफी समय से अपना पूजा कर रहे हैं, ध्यान कर रहे हैं, जिंदगी की जो भी समस्या आए वो अपनी ध्यान में कभी कमी होने नहीं देते हैं, बट हमारे जैसे तुच्छ प्राणी जो नए नए आते हैं, थोड़ी बहुत समस्या हुई तो हम भटक जाते हैं. इन द सेंस भटकना मतलब कृष्ण पे हमें संदेह नहीं होता है, पर अपनी समस्या सुलझाने में लग जाते हैं. हमारी जो आराधना की तरफ समय था वो कम हो जाता है या ना के बराबर हो जाता है, तो इसको कैसा एड्रेस किया जाए?
So very nice question, Prabhuji. So yeah, I think last Sunday we probably touch upon this point. Ki, how do we? So there are two. In a simplistic way, we can put that ki, how can we be determined in our devotion? Now there is, at one level we have intellectual clarity. कि intellectually कि ये बात समझ में आ सकती है, but our material problems, our immediate problems can become so heavy on us that they can consume ourselves, our our consciousness fully, and thereby we may step away from it. We may stop doing what we do. Now this is now that becoming devotee, becoming Krishna conscious, we must understand that this is not a digital process कि आज हम कृष्णा conscious है और आज नहीं है. Okay, it's an analog process, if I may explain a little bit. It's a gradual process. It's a जैसे कि sunrise होता है, at no point of time you cannot say कि एक सेकंड पहले सन नहीं था और एक सेकंड के बाद सनराइज हुआ है. इट्स अ ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस. So there will be times always that you will have a battle going on between your primary material responsibility and spiritual responsibilities. And given the nature, you will have to at times prioritize material over spiritual. For example, parents ka health issue, somebody, so you cannot not give medicine to your father or ailing mother and keep chanting. So that will be a misinterpretation of devotional life. So at times there will be emergencies which will require more attention on our part. However, if we are in devotee association, they will keep reminding us to come back to the spiritual path. Okay, as we will continue to operate, we will continue to be in the material world, and as long as we are here, we will have situations which will demand our attention. At times, our children become sick. Now, it's a classic example where we at times we'll have to give up yatra. We'll have to give up a visit to our temples. We will miss out on some classes. So because our material responsibilities suddenly becomes forefront, comes to the forefront, and the devotional likings, we subordinate them, we keep them in the background. However, so this will always happen, and this will always be the case with us. Even for us who are trying to practice it for a few years, this is always a battle that we all have to live. And therefore, if we are in association of devotees, if we are constantly in touch with devotees, if we are talking to them, this will come out that we are not chanting regularly, we are not attending classes regularly, so they will remind us. So this is a very simple benefit of why we should stay in association of devotees, why we should share our heart with devotees, why we should be talking to devotees, why we should meet devotees, because this is what they will be asking, that how are things. Now they don't how are things even if they ask from material standpoint, they want to make sure that you are materially not disturbed or materially not in a distress, so much so that you stop practicing bhakti. So when they ask, even if they ask a question about your material well-being, their intent is only to find out that material you should not be in a distress condition so much so that you stop practicing bhakti. Because some distress will always be there, and at times we have to stretch and we have to practice bhakti despite of that distress. The winters are cold in Delhi. Now people, doesn't mean that Mangal Aarti, which otherwise happen at 4:30, get shifted to 7:30. No, in spite of winters, people do take bath. People get up at 3 o'clock, dress the deities. Everybody reports for Mangal Aarti at 4:30 in Delhi, everywhere. And even the coldest region of Russian temples, they do Mangal Aarti at that time. Very rarely it's shifted to 1 hour. Maybe a concession of 1 hour is given in Moscow or those kind of places. But normally the Mangal Aarti does happen in despite of. So there the devotees do stretch. Now the environment is cold. Genuinely, it's cold for everyone. So we don't. Depends on the nature of our problem. We under the guidance of a devotee, we choose to stretch ourselves or to mitigate or to give priority to our material problem. And however, devotee association will keep guiding us, keep correcting us, keep bringing us, back onto the correct path. If we are in touch with devotees and we take their help, we seek their guidance and we listen to their guidance, so through which we can be corrected. And as I said again, this is not a 0-1 kind of a digital process. It's not perfectly Krishna conscious or you're perfectly unconscious or non-Krishna conscious. It's a gradual process throughout the day. For example, if you will be advising a client, you will not be Krishna conscious. You will not be thinking of philosophy. There you will be thinking of what are the financial investment principles that that are best suitable for the clients. You'll be analyzing different products. You'll do that, but does it mean you are not Krishna conscious? Yes. If you are chanted, that's where the sadhana, role of sadhana becomes so important. The sadhana every morning chanting becomes so critical, that even if you are doing your prescribed duties, you are doing your what you are supposed to be doing, if your sadhana is strong, that Krishna remains in the background. It does not go out of ground. So if you get too much, so even if you are performing your professional duties, you are focusing on your using your professional skills. Now, in one sense, you can say you are not Krishna conscious at that particular time, but the moment you switch off that role, you become Krishna consciousness, because Krishna is always in the background. It's like mother going to office, but she never forgets a small child at home. Okay, it's like when a person goes to Dubai, he's leave his family behind, he's always thinking. Now when he's dealing with his customer, he's not thinking of his children and wife who are at home or parents at home, but they are there in his background. They're always present in his background. And that way, Krishna should be in our background. Krishna consciousness should be in our background. And for that to happen, our sadhana and the devotee association need to be strong. Okay. Yes, Manju Mataji, you have a question?
I want to just say, sometimes in our personal professional life, we experience the presence of godly interference, like we are going to take some decision, we will just change our decision just a nick of time, because maybe some God is the present there and he is helping us take the right decision. So we experience his interference, positive interference even in our professional decisions sometimes.
Yes, and that is so nice. That is so merciful of him. So the way we should look at it is like this: that it can happen. Krishna can interfere. Krishna can. In fact, there was a study done on inspiration. The inspiration, if you see the word, the concept of inspiration is such that it cannot be manufactured. It cannot be, you cannot follow a process to get an inspiration. The inspiration just comes. And that's where the role of that's where the role of God comes into play. Now, some people may experience it often, some may experience it less. When we experience it, we take it as his special mercy. Krishna can inspire us from within to take right decision. Krishna can give us that, and if we are conscious of him, we are aware of him, we may not even, at times we not, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we may not even know that it was Krishna who was speaking from the heart. We may say inner voice, or we may call it by different name, but everybody understand that there is an inner core who has a different voice, who raise a different voice than what our normal cluttered voice say. So there are two voices always exist within us, and this more we feed this, more we invoke Krishna's presence in our heart through chanting or through hearing, through process of devotional service, more he can become active. Whenever he gives such experiences, positive experiences, we take it as a mercy from Krishna. So we accept it, we don't expect it. I'll just elaborate this a little bit more, that when we get such a thing, we don't know if we are qualified to receive such mercy. So but if it comes our way, we accept it with folded hands. So we should just be thankful to him. We should just have a gratitude towards him. And and you should generally be very thankful and very humbly accept it. But we should not expect it every time. And that can happen with us, if we are not having a right attitude towards looking at this. And this can happen, kind of experiences can come in our devotional life also. Sometimes when we sit down to chant in the morning, and then we just chant beautifully, we just hear every mantra properly, and we feel as if this chanting should never end, and it should just go on and on and on forever. And sometimes we just, the mind is so cluttered, we can't hear anything, we can't, our attention is just not there, and we're just counting the beads and we are chanting mantra, we're just hoping that chanting gets over very quickly. And that happens. So these are spiritual bliss that we experience sometimes, we don't experience some other time. How should we understand it? We should practice nevertheless, whether we experience it or not experience it, we should still practice ourselves diligently, because we are not at that level where we can have a constant connect with Krishna. So we should accept if any such nice experiences we get, and we should be thankful to Krishna. But we don't expect it. It's not that someday you will go in front of a deity and you will feel as if it's Krishna himself present there. And some other day when you go in front of the same deity, you start looking at the watch. अब कहाँ जाना है, मुझे क्या करना है? Because it's not that, it's not a mental setup. It just sometimes Krishna will give you mercy, and sometimes you will miss out on that mercy. But you just have to be diligent in our practice of devotion, and you should accept whenever such mercy comes your way. But you should not expect, because if you keep expecting it, when it will not come, you will stop performing devotional activities.
It
That's
will
a
become
Yeah,
desire. It will
it will become
convert
a
into
desire,
desire.
and then become conditional. Your
Right.
devotional service will become conditional to you getting those experiences. We shouldn't make
Devotion is not
Krishna, yeah,
devotion. We should not do thinking that something we will get.
get in return. It shouldn't be conditional to
Right.
getting anything back. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. How to remain unwaveringly focused on Krishna, his teachings, despite going through a lot of crisis at times in life. Yes. Um, uh, while we are going through crisis in our life, if we are already devotees, because crisis go through devotees life also. We'll take I don't know if we discussed it in last class or not. We'll take an example of Prahlad Maharaj. uh, Prahlad Maharaj was a son of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was ruling the planet. Demigods were his servants. Uh, Practically, he has captured everything. The three worlds he was ruling. And Prahlad was his son. So materially, and Prahlad was worshipping Vishnu. Prahlad was remembering Vishnu all the time. The only at a physical level, there is nothing lacking in Hiranyakashipu's kingdom. Hiranyakashipu didn't, if he, there was nothing that if Prahlad would have wanted, Hiranyakashipu was not in a position to give him. Nothing. At a mental level, Prahlad's peace of mind was gone because he was remembering Krishna, because he was remembering Vishnu. So the reason for losing peace of mind was remembrance of Krishna. Before remembering Krishna, he was perfectly peaceful. Or if he were to give up remembering Krishna, he would have become perfectly peaceful, because his father would have become very happy, because physically he didn't wanted anything from Krishna. Mentally, he was getting into all sorts of problems because he was trying to remember Krishna. So, so in this example, we see that when and he was getting in all kind of problem, and he was still continuing to remember Krishna. Why he was remembering Krishna? Because Krishna, himself was the objective for Prahlad. He didn't go to Krishna for any material possessions, any material things. He didn't go to Krishna even for mental peace also, peace of mind. मुझे अच्छा लगता है, या शांति चाहिए, peace of mind. He didn't even wanted to go to Krishna for peace of mind. He didn't wanted anything materially, neither wanted anything emotionally. He wanted Krishna himself. So Krishna is the object, was the objective for his meditation. He didn't wanted anything for Krishna. He didn't go to Krishna for anything. He wanted Krishna. He made Krishna as his objective. Now, that is something very difficult for us to do at this time. However, by constantly learning, by constantly hearing from scriptures like Bhagavatam and like Bhagavad Gita, we will definitely, what we can definitely do is we can definitely develop understanding of the why of the problem, why our problems are occurring to us. And from devotees, we should understand what actions we should take to counter those problems. So there will always be problems, and there are problems even in devotees life. There are devotees life go through all kind of problems. We should look at how they respond to those problems rather than reacting, how they, and what is the basis which they respond to those problems. These problems, when they occur, if you can you can be convinced thoroughly that these problems are occurring. One reason is at immediate level, if we can do something, we should do. At a remote level, you should know that these are occurring due to our own past karmas, and there also we can mitigate to the extent we can, but otherwise we have to be tolerant. And if we can do that, if we can practice these things, then the same problem become tolerable. The same problem will help us increase our faith in Krishna. The same problem which is bewildering, which is preventing us from practicing Krishna consciousness, can become a tool to go closer to Krishna, and can increase our conviction about this world being a place of misery, and that will give us faith that yes, what Krishna said was true, and then that will help us take shelter of Krishna with more conviction, more faith. So use the same problem to go closer to Krishna. Doesn't mean do nothing about the problem. If the electricity has gone, yes, you can chant, but you should also go and check if the main switch is off, or whether you have paid electricity bill or not. So we have to do our part. Whatever mitigation strategies we can apply, we have to do those, but we have to take these problems to go further closer to Krishna. Nothing can stop us in this world. Nothing in this world can stop us from pursuing Krishna as our objective. No problem is big enough to stop us from achieving Krishna. So what we see as crisis in our life, when we discuss them with a devotee who has been practicing Krishna consciousness for some time, or who has gone through similar problems, from his level, he see this as a no problem, and he can easily guide us through that. I'll give a small example. When we take a small child, child to a doctor, pediatrician, for giving some injections, because we want child to be protected from certain diseases which he will suffer from future. Uh, at the time when we take child to the doctor, he is perfectly healthy, he's perfectly all right, but we take him to a doctor and doctor give him some shot or injection, and after which he becomes sick. He cry at the time of taking injection, and then he becomes sick for a couple of days. Now from a child's point of view, he is suffering. You have been the reason for his suffering, but from your perspective, you see his same situation with the eyes of knowledge, and you're not gaining any pleasure by giving pain to child, but you are worried of his future also. So at times you are able to explain with knowledge. When you see the same problem, you see it differently, you can see it differently, and then by this, at times you will have to teach your child to be little tolerant, because it is for his better future, for his protection from future diseases. That because the child may not understand it at his level, but you, when you see the same situation from knowledge, you can explain this to him. Similarly, a devotee can explain us that to how to look for good in every bad situation. uh, there will be definitely bad situations, but and we have to do what we can do to mitigate and to protect ourselves in those bad situations. But at times it's always helpful to open our heart to to one of the devotees who is in touch with us and seek their guidance, because if they have knowledge, with knowledge they see the same situations, they can easily guide us through our problems and help us overcome the situation. So that's why the devotee association is so very critical. Okay, we don't have any other questions or comments. We can close today's session, and we will continue exploring this beautiful chapter more with some more verses in the on next Sunday. And the Sunday later, we are hopeful to be in Jagannath Puri and and relish the Katha and Kirtan in association of Atul Krishna Prabhu. And so some of you hopefully will join us there, and some of you can join us through online medium. I think we will do Zoom sessions of those kirtans. Those will be live as well. So do keep your itineraries free during that time, and do try and join those sessions whenever possible. And then those are relishable sessions. Those kirtan sessions are beautiful. So hopefully, someday we will probably all can go to a yatra and enjoy it all together.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, everyone, and have a nice week ahead. And we will meet next Sunday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.